We're joined today by John Bush, former frontman for Anthrax and Armored Saint. And Armored Saint is back on the road here, touring this spring and in through the summer. They're coming to the Paramount in Cedar Rapids, Iowa on April 7th. John, how's it going today?
Good, buddy.
All right. Well, first of all, it's great speaking with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. I was looking up the station. You're in Minnesota and Austin, Minnesota. Is that right?
Yep, we're in Minnesota.
Minnesota. Cool. Where are you? How far are you from the Twin Cities?
We're about an hour south.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Right on. Well, nice to chat with you.
Well, Armored Saint is on tour again this spring and through the summer. I know you've played a few shows last year, but you guys are really hitting the road this year, looks like.
Yeah, we're going out with Queensryche. The last time we actually toured with Queensryche was back in 2016, so it was a long time ago at this point. But we're going to go back out again. The guys are nice enough to take us, and they're such a great band and really a bunch of nice guys in general. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're playing a lot of cities that we haven't played in a long time. We're not doing the Twin Cities again. And man, I can't remember the last time that Armored Saint played either Minneapolis or St. Paul, which really is annoying to me. But in any case, we are going to a lot of different other places, and we look forward to having a real fun run with Queensryche.
Well, I know you are making a stop at the Paramount in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, April 7th. I think that's probably the best chance for our listeners to see you guys, but
okay. How far is that?
From Austin, that's maybe about an hour and a half or so. Not so.
All right. Not too bad. That isn't too bad. That's a road trip.
Well, I know it's been 40 years since the release of the first full-length March of the Saint. First of all, does it seem like it's been 40 years since then?
Sometimes when I look in the mirror, sometimes, when I'm like trying to lift something. But you know what? We loved our very early stages of Armored Saint back in 1983, 84, and we had some great runs. Back and then the March of the Saint, Delirious Nomad times, and then it carried into Symbol of Salvation. That might have been one of the last times we actually played Minneapolis, was on the Symbol of Salvation tour, believe it or not. And then, once we got back together after my stint in Anthrax, we've been rolling along pretty well. And I think we've made some really great records. Win Hands Down was awesome in 2010, and then, 2015. And then Punch in the Sky, the last one we put out in 20, we think is really awesome as well. So we're going to be playing some new tunes from that, as well as some old school songs on the tour. And, I think that for Armored Saint, we had a lot of lofty goals, like a lot of bands do when they start out, especially when they're young. And then the reality of the music business sometimes brings us down to size. But, we just keep going, and we're proud of all the music we've made through the years. And we just try to have a lot of fun, actually. That's really the name of the game.
Well, I've read that you guys weren't maybe 100% happy with the album at the time, but are you able to appreciate it more now? I know a lot of people love that album. I guess maybe over time, has it kind of grown on you?
Well, you know what? That's funny you say that. I think that what happened was that our intentions when we made March of the Saint is to make it a little bit more kind of garage, loose, down and dirty, kind of like the way we were as a live band. If you saw Armored Saint back in 1983, 84, you would see us in our kind of our natural setting, which was really kind of just, like I said, down and dirty and loose. And, to hear a production of a record that was kind of a little glossier, for us, it just didn't completely represent the way the band sounded live. So I think that was the issue. Don't get me wrong. I love March of the Saint. I think there's some great songs on it, needless to say. Madhouse and the title track, and Seducer is a great tune. And, Glory Hunter and obviously Can You Deliver, is to this day still one of our most popular, if not our most popular song. But I think that deep down, it could have just been a little bit grittier. But, that's just the way things panned out at that point in 1984. A lot of records at that point, a lot of heavy metal records that were being made were big production. It's crazy the amount of money that people were spending on making records back in the early to mid 80s, including Armored Saint. That was one of the problems with our album, is that making that record cost so much, it immediately put us kind of in the red, and we were just unable to ever get out of that, which was a drag. But that's one of the aspects of how the career went. But in the end, I think it's still a great album, and people love that record. So it is 40 years. We don't have any plans on doing anything in its entirety. I won't mention any songs, but there's a couple that probably I'd be okay with not playing every night. But I won't say which ones I think they are, because I've done that and people go, I love that song. So I don't want to rain on anyone's parade.
Yeah, I guess you never know which songs you put out that might have some sort of special meaning for people. But
exactly.
Well, John, I wanted to ask you, I guess your relationship nowadays and your friendship with Joey and Gonzo, the other guys in the band, I mean, you guys have really been through all the ups and downs since day one. And a lot of bands don't have that, I guess that core that they started with, and now, 40 years later, they're still together.
Yeah, that's one of the things I actually champion about the Saint, our road trip, if you will, is that it really is the same guys. And, the one guy that's missing is Dave Pritchard, who passed away in 1990, 91, actually. Well, 90, actually, I think. And, I always say if Dave was still alive, it would be the six of us, because once Jeff joined, which was in the late 80s, and actually did some stuff with Armored Saint at that point, it's really been the same guys. Phil came back. Obviously it's Joey, Gonzo, and myself. It's really the same. It's the same core as it was during Symbol, and it's carried on since then. And not a lot of bands can say that, quite frankly. Some bands have had obviously more guys die who have been around for as long as we have. Certainly, a lot of members go their own separate ways. So. I really think that's one of the beautiful aspects about Saint, is that it is the same people, for better or worse. Don't get me wrong. It's not like we're always living in some blissful world. We do have our challenges. But in the end, we kind of get through them. And I think that the cool aspect of it being the same guys is that everyone is, for the most part, pretty connected to a song or one of the recordings throughout. And, Jeff Duncan has probably played Nervous Man way more times than David Pritchard ever did, so it's just funny. It's the way that our road has gone. And I think it's a really cool circumstance with the group.
Well, so many of the great metal bands who came out in the early to mid 80s, I mean, they're still on the road now and making music and playing shows. That's got to make you feel good that, the music that you obviously had a hand in creating is still out there thriving, and it's influencing a whole new generation here.
Yeah, it was really cool. We just did the Monsters of Rock cruise, and there was a lot of bands from our era, even some bands before us. Like we saw Y&T, and they're still awesome. Dave Meniketti is such a great guitar player and singer, and we used to see them in the club days when we were just tights going to see them. Same with Pat Travers. He played, and he was awesome. And I saw Pat Travers play, the Santa Monica Civic back in the day when Def Leppard opened on their first album, On Through the Night, so it's really cool. Plus, needless to say, all the other bands that we have toured with through the years, bands like, Black and Blue and, you name it, Queensryche, who were going out on the road this time, they were all on the boat. And it was just real fun to be part of that, and to know we have a lot of history with a lot of these people individually as people, let alone the band. So, we're just going on, we're doing our thing. Like I said, sometimes the road doesn't go exactly the way you expected. I mean, I think that everybody thought we were all going to be as big as Metallica, and then the reality is only Metallica is going to be as big as Metallica. But, we still go on, and I'm really proud of all the music that we've made through the years. And, that's all you can do is you just have to, love what you do and do it for that reason. I think that's the key component, is to make sure that in the end, you're doing it for the reasons that you kind of started with. And that was because you really love music.
Definitely. Well, John, you mentioned it earlier. I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but it seems like a lot of these bands, you mentioned Metallica and, of course, your time with Anthrax, and it seems kind of like a fraternity, I guess, where all these guys are still kind of in and out of each other's lives. And I know you've been in and out of Anthrax a couple times. Are you guys on good terms now, or is that something maybe, 40, 50, 60-year reunions? Could we see you back with those guys maybe?
Oh, it's always good with those guys now. There was a little time when things got a little kind of a little bit distant, but we've ironed those out. And I'm really proud of my time in Anthrax. We've made some really killer records and music. So I to me it's all a great thing. It is like you said, it is kind of like a weird fraternity in this whole world of rock and roll and heavy metal, and there's a lot of connections between people and friendships, and you're around long enough, you go through a lot of different people through the years. So it's really important for me to not burn any bridges, and to stay on a really positive state of mind with all the people I've worked with, or even somebody I haven't. Like I said, on the cruise, we ended up meeting some people that I had never met. Jeff Scott Soto, I don't think I've ever met him, and we took a picture. He's a rad singer, and it was cool to do that. So like I've always been a real humble guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have my moments. I can be a jerk. I'm not immune completely from it, but for the most part, I try to remain a pretty humble guy through it all, and just like I said, be proud of all the music that I've been part of through the years, and that's the key thing is like I said, loving the music. That's really the main thing that you do it for, because you really don't know what kind of financial successes you'll get from it. You just don't know. It's out of your hands, really.
Well, it's funny you mentioned doing the rock cruises, and it seems like a pretty big thing now. A lot of bands are doing that. I imagine back, maybe in the '80s when you guys were starting out, probably didn't sound quite so metal to go out on a cruise, but that's kind of a big deal.
You're
now.
right. No, I was saying to somebody, like, I took a picture with Pat Travers, and then I talked to Dave Meniketti, and I'm like, if somebody told me when I was like 18 and I went to go see those bands that you will be playing on a boat in the middle of the Atlantic with your band, with these bands, I mean, I would have been like, what are you talking about? It sounds like some crazy acid trip, but there it is, so, you never know how life's going to go, and you're right. It's funny. Like, you're on some cruise. I mean, you think of cruise, you think like the Love Boat, and, but now everybody's got a cruise. I mean, it's crazy. Like, housewives in New Jersey and comedians and, Rob Gronkowski's cruise. And it's just like, everybody's got a cruise these days. It's pretty funny. As a matter of fact, Queensryche was going on back-to-back cruises. Like, they got off the Monsters of Rock. They had like a day off, and then they were getting on another cruise. It's like some prog rock cruise. I was like, are you insane? That's like basically 10 days at sea. I was like, wow. But, people do it, and, they love it. So it's pretty funny.
Well, John, I know it's been a few years since the last album, Punching the Sky, was released. Are you guys working on any new music now, or could we see something maybe coming up down the road?
We are working on stuff, in the classic Armored Saint pace. It's not going so fast. I always can, say it's more about, the quality to the quantity. Although I think it'd be important to kind of just create a little urgency, because, we're not getting any younger, let's face it. But, I think it's realistic that we could get something out in 25. I know that sounds like a long time away since we're mid-March, but that is realistic. We also are touring, in the States with Queensryche for about 6 weeks, and then we are going to Europe for about 3 to 4 weeks. So, I mean, you got to squeeze it in with all that other stuff, and it's kind of hard to ride on the road. I've never been really successful doing that. I know a lot of people do and try. Some other bands, struggle with that just because, you're tired, you're playing gigs, sometimes you need an airball break, and, it's not easy to kind of do that. Although it would make sense if you're in the groove of playing that it would be easy to write. But I'm going to try to do it on this upcoming run. It's not like I'm like looking to like party every night. Those days are over. So, I could try to be productive if I can and do some writing.
Awesome, man. Well, again, Armored Saints on tour here. They'll be at the Paramount in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, April 7th. I know you got a lot on your plate.
Cedar Rapids, we haven't played there since we played with Dio and Lynch Mob. I think I was looking it up, Cedar Rapids. That was the last time we played in that city, and that was in 2001. So it's been a long time. So come on out. It's going to be a great gig.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And I know that's a lot already on your plate here, John. Is there anything else maybe we should be watching out for?
I got another project that's going to be surfacing real soon. I can't talk too much about it yet, but when it comes out, you'll go, oh, that's what he was talking about. But it is with a group of really talented other musicians. And I think it's going to blow some people away. It's really powerful. It's really heavy. It's some really great songwriting, and like I said, I'm waiting till there's a video that's going to surface pretty soon, and when it does, then people are going to go like, oh, okay, that's what he was talking about. But I'm not really. I can't really speak about it quite yet. But like I said, just keep your ears open. You'll hear something soon.
Awesome, man. It's been an honor speaking with you. I've been a big fan for a long time, and I'm looking forward to the show and the new music coming up here. And again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem, Dustin. Thank you. So you're going to come to the show. Make sure you say hello to me. Track me down and let's say hello in person.
All right, I'll try my best. Thanks a lot, John.
All right, brother. See ya. Thank you.
And again, that was the one and only John Bush of Armored Saint. They're on tour here with Queensryche, coming to the Paramount in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, on April 7th.